Welcome into the New Orleans Saints Fantasy Review 2024. I haven't been saying this, but PSA, we are recording this on August 13th. So if something happens between now and when we post this, we won't be talking about it, and that's why. All these numbers here are half PPR numbers, ADP, all that stuff. And we're in a little bit of a happier place. We just talked about the Patriots, which was tough. Less than 15 minutes. You're going to talk about a team that has some more pieces, at least. For reference, the Patriots had 3 guys that were being drafted. Saints have 5, so much better situation here, and almost 6. So Derek Carr comes in. He's still the quarterback here, 33.4 years old. He is what he is. We know what he is. He's still being drafted technically. I think he's a streamer guy. Like when there's, we have a couple of weeks here where there's 6 teams on bye, and Derek Carr's name's going to be brought up as, hey, pick him up and just start him. He'll give you hopefully 15, 16 points. That's what you're looking for. That's basically what he's done the last 3 years. Well, I guess the one positive is Clint Kubiak is the new offensive coordinator for the Saints. He comes from the Shanahan tree.
It's not Gary Kubiak because he's an old man.
No, Clint Kubiak.
Oh, it must be his son, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he comes from the Shanahan. He was with the 49ers last year. So he comes from that potential, bringing that offense. He was their passing games coordinator. So we've seen multiple teams, the McVay, Shanahan trees is kind of what you're targeting. We're seeing it kind of spread out in the NFL, and Ben Johnson now, but we're seeing it spread out in the NFL with Miami, Minnesota, Atlanta, New Orleans, potentially the Houston Texans, stuff like that. So, that's a potential positive, and we could see a bump for Carr, but he's a streamer. He's a guy, hey, I need a quarterback for a week. I'll pick him up and start him. I don't know if there's anything else to be said, Dad, if you want to add something to.
No, that's exactly where he's at. He's, he's just kind of one of the middle of the road quarterbacks in the NFL. And he's getting paid like he's upper echelon quarterback. And, I'm sure glad I'm not a Saints fan and I got to, rely on Derek Carr and stuff like that. So it's just kind of the way I feel about him.
Him and Dennis Allen is just like the least attractive coach, not physically, but just there's just no personality with Dennis Allen that I know of. So,
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like Carr had a decent season. He was beat up a lot last year. There's a lot of games where it's like, oh, Jameis Winston's going to start, and he never did. Carr started 17 games. He threw almost 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. You know what's surprising, and I don't think a lot of people realize this? New Orleans was a top 10 offense last year.
What?
Yeah. New Orleans was
in
points per game. They were 9th in points per game. They were above, right behind the Rams, right above the Browns, and 9th overall. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, I think they were like top 10 in something else, like total touchdown. Well, I guess that would make sense with it's offensive touchdowns or something. So it's kind of crazy. Like, you would not expect that at all. But
really.
yeah, so I mean, maybe there's a little bit something, but again, to me, he's a streamer waiver wire guy. Alvin Kamara, he's been fantasy relevant for a long time now, since he entered the league in 2017. He's been he's been a first-round pick for maybe the last 5-6 years. He's never rushed for 1,000 yards because that's not what he does. He catches passes. So PPR, the guy is a much better. Half PPR, he's still really, really good. He was still RB5 last year. He missed the first few games because of suspension. He was the RB5 in points per game last year. He caught 75 passes. 75 passes he caught. He had only 6 total touchdowns. He's not a very explosive runner. He hasn't been for a while. But he still catches 47, 57, 75 last year. I still like Alvin Kamara. He had a game. His first game back, he had 14 targets and 13 catches for 33 yards, which is crazy.
His numbers are down though, but as they should be. He's getting older, but
they're
I'm not.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bag on the guy or anything like that.
They're
But
down from efficiency. They're not really down from production over the last couple of years. Like 1,300 total yards in 2021, he played 13 games. 1,400 in 2022, he played 15 games. Almost 1,200 last year, he played 13 games. So they're slightly down, but not by a lot. And Carr is Mr. Dump-Off, And, Kendra Miller can't stay healthy behind him. Like, there's really no – I mean, they have Jamal Williams, who they just didn't use last year. I don't know. Like, I like Kamara. He's going in round 4 as a top – as RB17. He's going at the end of round 4. I think there's a range of guys that makes me more and more intrigued to potentially start with 3 straight wide receivers. It's Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara. Those 3 guys that I can get the end of the 4th round. It makes me very, very intrigued to go wide receiver, and start off with one of those guys as my RB1. So I know you're a little bit more down on him. I get it. He's older. He's 29 years old, just turned 29. I just think he's still going to catch 50, 60 passes at least. He's still going to rush for 800 yards or so. He's going to have 1,300 total yards. We'll see about the touchdowns. So are you a little bit more out on him? Like, do you want someone younger?
Man. Round 4 seems like seems kind of high, and
well, again, we'll talk. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that was Aaron Jones a 5th rounder, I think, or it's like, I don't know, Kamara, I don't know.
So here's your 4 running backs going in the 4th round. So if you're targeting a running back, these are, and you don't, assuming all the guys above them are gone like they should be. Here's your guys. Sorry, there's 4 guys. There's James Cook, Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, and Alvin Kamara. Is he 4th on that list for you? Kamara, Cook, Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Kamara. Those are the 4.
He's probably 3rd on that list for me.
Okay.
So, I like the young guy, Cook, and yeah, I don't know. I've always kind of been a little bit of a chicken shit drafting Alvin Kamara, and it's kind of burned me a number of times, and now I feel like is this the year? I don't know.
Yeah.
4th round? Oh man.
My biggest thing is, like, he has not been efficient for 3 straight years. It's not like, we're seeing it fall off. He has not been efficient Alvin Kamara for 3 straight years, and it hasn't mattered at all. That's the biggest thing with him. Like, it's just pure volume and catches, and he's still a pretty good pass catcher, although his yards per reception dropped to his lowest at 6.2 in his career. All those guys, there's a little bit like James Cook has a fumbling issue. And if he fumbles, they're going to bring in someone else, like guaranteed. Joe Mixon's been dealing with a hamstring injury. Kenneth Walker is the guy no one ever talks about. I feel like no one talks about this guy, but I like Kenneth Walker this year. I'm fine with Kamara in that range. Like, I'd probably put him, he's right there with like any one of those 4 if you want to go to. I'm not going to argue. So my point is, there's these 4 running backs at the end of those 3 running backs at the end of round 4 that, like, I feel very comfortable, starting 3 wide receivers, and I'm fine with Alvin Kamara as my RB1. I really am. So, because I think all 3 of those guys can be top 12 guys pretty easily. We talked about it a little bit. Kendra Miller, he is being drafted in round 14. People have hyped him up a lot. I'm not 100% sure why. He can't stay healthy. I don't know if he's back at practice, but the beginning of training camp, he got hurt again in the first practice. And that was his issue last year.
I shouldn't
And
laugh.
Dennis Allen was, yeah, but Dennis Allen came out and was just like, if you're not healthy, like you can't do anything, right? It says, here's his direct quote. Look, that's a player that's going to have to figure out how to stay healthy because it's hard to make the team from the training room. That's what he said.
Wow.
So it's not good, Kendrick Miller. Like I don't know if he's back at practice. Maybe he is, but I'm not. Jamal Williams is there. I think it's Kamara's room. Those other guys will do something, but not enough for fantasy unless Kamara gets hurt, in my opinion. So, anything you want to add with Kendrick Miller, Jamal Williams?
No, he was projected, last year, coming in as a rookie to be able to do something, and we thought the door was open with Kamara on suspension, and it just didn't happen. I mean, he was hurt, and even when he did play, it just didn't look great. So,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah, it
Jamal
didn't.
Williams did not look great either. So,
Yeah, I don't understand that really. Like what they paid him a decent amount of money and they gave him 100 carries. Like I don't know. Olave is their highest drafted player, going in round 2 at the very end of round 2 in half PPR. Olave is a good receiver. He's been a wide receiver 2 for the last 2 years. He's over 1,000 yards the last 2 years. He's in the boats with Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Olave are these 3 receivers that have been good to start their career, haven't been amazing for fantasy, and we're expecting a year 3 breakout. Again, Olave, 1,000 yards his rookie year, 4 touchdowns, 1,100 yards his second year, 5 touchdowns. I like Olave. I think he's very, very good. My only concern with him is he DJ Moore? Is he Terry McLaurin, who are very talented receivers that were very limited by their quarterback play? I don't think, Carr's a little bit better than those other quarterbacks that those guys are playing with, in my opinion. So I'm okay with Olave here, I guess is my long way of saying that. Are you in the same boat, okay with Olave?
I think so, and all those guys, Garrett Wilson, Olave, and JSN, and they're all Ohio State receivers. Even the other guy that you mentioned, and it's like they're good and stuff like that, and they just it's not working and something's not meshing. I know maybe in quarterback play, like you said, has a big part of it, and so it's too bad. We know Garrett Wilson is really good, and
And Olave here too.
yeah, and Olave, he's really good too. So
Yeah. If those touchdowns come up even just a little bit, which I feel like they should, he can kind of repeat last year and, he catches 3 more touchdowns, Olave, and he's looking at from wide receiver 19 overall to, he's jumping up to the top 15, essentially to the up there. So, yeah, and in the offense with Clint Kubiak hopefully is better, and they get Olave the ball more. So I'm okay with it. It's a little bit scary, but the second round in general is kind of scary. We're talking about guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., who's a rookie, Devontae Adams, who's old with a bad quarterback, Drake London, who's in the same boat as Olave, but he's even proven less than Olave. Debo Samuel sneaking in there, guys like that. So. Achan and Pacheco. This is the second round. They all feel like third rounders, but you have to take someone. So, Olave's in that boat.
those are all grenades, if you ask me. So
Yeah, but you have to take them. You have to
well,
take someone
yeah,
in
you
the second
do.
round.
I mean, you can't ignore them, and some of them are going to do something. They're gonna show their stuff, and there's going to be other ones that they don't.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco is in the second round.
Half PPR, yeah.
Jeez, man.
I know, but at the same time, I see why. I see why, because he could be the guy for Kansas City, and that's attractive. But yeah, it's a weird second round this year, and they all feel like third rounders. Second round here's the second round. It's Garrett Wilson, I understand. Puka, I get it. Kyron, okay. Marvin Harrison, Devontae Adams, like I get why they're there. They're a little bit scary. Travis Etienne is probably one of the safest. Derrick Henry, I get it, but he's also 31 years old. Achan, who can he stay healthy? Josh Allen, okay. Drake London, Pacheco, Olave. Like it's a lot of like, but it's like, are you going to take guys like, Debo over him or Nico Collins? I don't know. Like it's tough this year. That's why, and I know we're getting a little bit off track, but I love, like, if I can get pick 8, because I still get one of those top 8 guys, but also when I get back to the second round, I could still potentially get an ETN or Kyron. Like I'm loving like pick 8, 9. I'm loving that range because I get a stud player and I potentially get one of the better second round picks. So that's just my opinion this year. Rashid Shaheed is also being drafted around 12. He's going to be hard to predict. If you play in any type of return yard stuff, he's a beast. Like he's going to return kicks and punts. So if you play in anything like that, he had over 700 yards in return yards last year. So he's like a monster in return yard leagues. Plus what he does, his 700 yards and 5 touchdowns through receptions. I know he was a little banged up and hurt. I don't know. He's tough for anything that for half PPR that doesn't award any kick return stuff. He's very hard to know when to start. I understand he's going to be rostered. I'm just saying, like, maybe he develops into a little bit more. That's always a possibility. Like we've seen a step from 2022 to 2023, and maybe he continues that step. Any interest in Rashid Shaheed? A little bit hard, best ball kind of player? Or?
Yeah, for the reasons you just said, the return yards,
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't know, now there's other, there's going to be an effect on, this new kickoff rule and stuff like that in fantasy. So, it's
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check
He's hard to predict.
Sorry. I was just thinking, check your scoring. Make sure you understand how your league is scoring return yards and things like that. So,
yeah, for sure.
As standard in standard scoring, they don't use return yards, do they?
No.
So it has to be added by your commissioner and.
Yeah, and it's going to be something I think a lot of people are a lot of leagues, if this kickoff stuff is big, we should be potentially adding it for next year. I think it's good because it's not even an official rule. This is a 1-year sample for the NFL.
Yeah.
So, if they do add it in and if it's something, then I'm cool with adding it. But Rashid Shaheed, he's a nice player. He's going to go off. You just never know when. During heavy bye weeks, if you just need like, hey, I need you. I'm going to probably lose. I need someone out of nowhere to give me 20 points. He's one of those valuable players that could potentially do that. So they do need a third wide receiver to play on the outside here. I like A.T. Perry, but he just got banged up, I think. Sounds like the favorite is Cedric Wilson, but he's nothing to really talk about. The tight end, Juwan Johnson, is still on the PUP. He had an injury back in like May or June and had surgery. So no one really to talk about besides Taysom Hill. If Taysom Hill is tight end eligible for your league, Taysom Hill is going to be very valuable this year, to begin the year especially. He just is. They're using him all over the place. They have him in the running back room. He's the type of tight end that I'm going to take because I've built my team to survive. If my tight end gives me 5 points, I don't care. I'll take it. But Taysom Hill can give you 20 points out of nowhere and win you a week. So if he's tight end eligible, I'm fine with Taysom Hill. But if he's not, obviously, there's no point in talking about him. But Taysom Hill, anything you want to add there with him?
Well, the guy's been around forever, and they seem to, still be using him and stuff like that. So,
yeah. 400 rushing yards last year, 300 receiving yards with 40 catches, and 100 passing yards with the touchdown. So He just kind of does it all. They're going to use him at the goal line, which makes things a little frustrating for everyone else. But, that's it with the Saints. Another pretty easy show here. We will be back, I believe, talking about the New York teams. So New York Giants are up first, and then the Jets. So we'll be back talking about them. And like and subscribe, and we will catch you all in the next video.